So I'd like to introduce Bret Roberts, and he is a candidate for Maricopa Constable, for Maricopa Stanfield.
Well, I'll just go ahead and say I'm not a politician, because every time I get up and talk to people like this, you can see that I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not used to doing that. I didn't take a speech class in high school, so. But my name is Bret Roberts, and I plan to be your next constable. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, I originally moved here in '99 to Arizona the first time. I lived in Tempe and Chandler until about 2003. Before moving back to Ohio to be closer to my family, my mom and dad are here in the audience, so I'll just go ahead and say when I moved back it was about 2 hours away, just so they could show up whenever they wanted to. I went back to Ohio for about 4 years, and luck would have it, my job brought me back to Arizona. I was in the banking industry, the mortgage industry, and I worked for Chase at the time, and like I said, luck would have it, it brought me back. Since me and my wife moved to Maricopa in 2009, we bought our first house together. We've been here long enough to where we got to see Maricopa grow. We've seen Walmart was the first addition. We've seen, as of recent, the Multitainment Center, now the Copper Sky. We've seen Maricopa grow even through economically challenging times. So we kind of come close to the community. So we, really enjoy living here. It's got the small town feel. It's really close to the valley, so we're not that far away. I kind of like the small town feel. I've done both, but two of our 3 children have went to Maricopa Unified School District. One of them is still in high school. The other one's now attending ASU. So that's kind of my background as far as my history, where I come from. I was born in Ohio. I've lived in Michigan, Minnesota, North Carolina, Arizona. Kind of moved around. My father wasn't in the military, so that wasn't the excuse. So why do I want to be constable? Well, a lot of you probably already know I worked for the Sheriff's Office, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, for 3.5 years. I was a weapons certified detention officer. When I left there, I was in the transportation division. And if any of you have ever worked in law enforcement, fire, been in the military, you'll know that it's kind of hard pressed to find that camaraderie, brotherhood, sense of family outside of that environment. So that's kind of one of the reasons I want to get back into law enforcement, even though the constable, for lack of a better term, is a little bit of an ostracized piece of law enforcement. Before I left MCSO, a fellow officer told me about how he had helped out one of his friends that was running for constable in Maricopa County, the Hacienda District. Told me all about that, and that kind of planted a seed in my head. I'm really kind of surprised anything grew from that, because I'm not sure if it's really that fertile ground for a seed to grow, but this is where we're at this point. Basically, I see the office of constable as a perfect opportunity to combine my background in business and banking and the law enforcement community, and to become more increasingly involved in Maricopa. Some of the things I'll share with you that I do in the community is I regularly attend city council meetings and community events and town halls. I am on the 4R City event planning committee as of recently. Some of the ideas that I have that I'd like to do when elected is basically what I have found since I've started campaigning is anytime I speak to somebody that doesn't have it, just your normal average citizen that's not politically savvy in any way, I tell them that I want to run for constable. My initial reaction is, well, what's that? I didn't know we had that position here. So for me, as a taxpayer, I kind of find that that's a little unacceptable. I think that as a law enforcement official that is elected, they should be at least involved in the community enough that they know that position exists. So I put together some steps that I'd like to put in place once elected, just to give you some ideas. One of them being at one of our festivals that we have every year, I plan on putting together an information booth just to have that presence so people can talk to me and find out what exactly it is I do, explain what the duties of the constable is. If anybody here isn't aware, basically they're in charge of delivering any paperwork that comes out of the local justice of the peace. So for example, warrants, summons, eviction notices, restraining orders, things of that nature. Now I plan on doing more than that. I plan on, like I said, doing an information booth. I plan on doing a quarterly report to the public. In that report, I will list anything that's been done officially, and then everything that's been done unofficially as far as community involvement. One of the things that I'm doing as far as involved in the community is, I'm not sure if everyone here is aware, there's some social Facebook groups that have been created for every neighborhood in Maricopa. If you're new to the area, if you go to my website, go to bretroberts.com, the fourth link down on the homepage, you'll see social media bringing our community closer. There is a list of all the social groups for each neighborhood. There's one for every neighborhood. The villages, Rancho, Cobblestone, you name it, there's a group for it. The purpose of this is to get to know your neighbor. One of the first things you learn as far as block watch is if you know your neighbor, you will know who should be in your neighborhood, and you'll not recognize people, and you'll be a little more apt to watch them a little closer. If you see anything funny going on, you'll be more apt to report it. Just this morning, I was informed that in my neighborhood, we had some graffiti, some tagging that was put into our neighborhood. Luckily, the Maricopa Police Department, their graffiti task force, has already got on there, and they've already started to repaint that. So I'm happy about that. So as far as other items that I would like to do, I would like to further develop relationships with the Maricopa Police Department. One of the ways I plan on doing that is to assist in tracking down and finding people that have outstanding warrants, and then reporting that to Maricopa Police Department or Canal County Sheriff's Office, and aiding in getting those people into the court so they can pay their fine, do what they need to do, because a lot of people believe that if they just bury their head in the sand, that's going to go away. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be worse. So those are just a few ideas that I wanted to share with you. There are others. I don't want to give away all my trade secrets. So let's see. Basically, I believe with the steps that I have in mind, once elected, it will be a positive, bring positive visibility to that position, to the community, and bring that position into the community's perspective, if you will, because I don't believe it is right now. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it as far as what I'm trying to accomplish. I do have my signature page back there, my petition. If you haven't signed with me, I'd love to have your signature. And if you guys have any questions for me, again, I will be available afterwards. Thank you.
It must be hard to run for a position and nobody knows what it is, right? It's just one door knock and you got a 45-minute conversation and explain it all.